All right, thank you, Garrett. And to continue our coverage, we are joined by Utah criminal defense attorney Clayton Sims. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so this is a heartbreaking case and really a complicated one, in part because of how our criminal justice system works and some of the misconceptions that people have about them. I think a lot of people think that the judge just decides how long someone spends behind bars, but that's not entirely true. Utah Board of Pardons and Parole makes that ultimate decision. So can you explain a little bit on what goes into that decision and the process itself from here on out after the sentencing?
Yes. So in this particular case, the judge gave a range.
Yes.
So it's a sentence of 4 to 60 years. So 4 counts of 1 to 15 years at the Utah State Prison. So now it's turned over to the Board of Pardons. They determine how long the actual sentence is. So the judge has done their job, and which is give the sentence. Now the Board of Pardons sees, is that person taking therapy? Are they remorseful? Have they reformed in any way? And determine how long that person stays in prison.
And there's a process within that that's basically very similar to a court proceeding where they go in, they speak before them, the board discusses it, as well as victims speaking before the board, telling them about the impact that has on them. How much weight does a victim impact statement have in these cases?
Well, I think it will be powerful. I think the Board of Pardons will listen to the victims in this case and determine how long the sentence would be. Certainly issues of should she be released? Would she regain custody? Is that even a possibility? So I think that as a rule, or my guess would be that they would hold her until the kids are at least 18. So the youngest victim is 9. So maybe holding her until the kids are 18 would resolve that.
Okay, and I want to circle back to both Hildebrandt and Franke. They're both looking at 1 to 15 years for each of those 4 charges.
Yes.
And it's consecutively, meaning hypothetically, as you mentioned, up to 60 years if you're looking at those sentences lining up one after another for a very long time. However, Utah doesn't do indeterminate sentencing, which means you don't have that mandatory minimum sentence. So for people who aren't familiar with that, what exactly does that mean as far as the concept of a mandatory minimum?
Yes, so there's 4 victims.
Yes.
So 4 counts, 4 cases essentially, and they're stacked up one after the other. So it's a 1 to 15 plus a 1 to 15 plus a 1 to 15 plus a 1 to 15, which you end up in a wide range of 60 years to 4 years. So there's a great variance in the outcome. You know, is that person going to be held for 59 years? It's possible. Is that person going to be held for 4 years? That's also possible. It's more likely something in the middle. Certainly this is an egregious case where torture was involved and denying individuals water, treating them terribly, having them outside of the house.
But BOP could actually go under 4 years as well, technically.
Theoretically, but I have not seen that.
Highly unusual.
Highly unusual, and given the nature of the case, they wouldn't go under 4 years, but they theoretically could.
And the other part of this is the process itself. A lot of people are saying, when can we see the next step in this? When will we know how much longer they will spend behind bars? When is that?
So the next indication of that would be a hearing date. So within 6 months, you get an initial hearing date. So say maybe 5 years from now, 4 years from now, they will get an initial hearing date that would maybe determine when they're likely to be released. So you want to see what kind of progress these individuals have made. Are they in therapy? Are they working in jobs in the prison? Are they getting into fights with other individuals? How well are they doing their transition into custody? And so they'll look at a release date, not, you know, and then again, victims get to have an impact and say, this is how it's impacted me even to this day. Please hold that person, or please release that person.
Clayton Sims, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this very complicated process.
Thank you.
All right, let's toss it back over to Emily.